And so I burnt one part of me. I burnt just one part of me, and I can't quite believe that I managed to burn this part of me. Hello and welcome to Grumpy Old Crone with me, Annie, where I will be whinging and complaining about being just, generally kind of grumpy about things that don't matter very much in the pagan and witchcraft communities for about the next half an hour or so. I should say that this sounds like it's going to be a sponsored ad, and it's not. It's also coming to you courtesy of Avonmel Mead. Because they're my favourite mead makers, and I've drunk quite a bit of it tonight because it's been one of those weeks. So it was a week that required alcohol. So Avonmel Session Mead. Very nice. I'm going to try and eke it out over the next half an hour. Anyway, let's move on. And we're going to move on first of all to existing whilst witchy. So if you've been hanging around here this summer, you'll probably have heard me complaining about the heat, and you'll have noticed me looking particularly pink and sweaty at points. I mean, I shouldn't say sweaty. My mother always told me that, pigs sweat, men perspire, and ladies simply glow, which leads me to confess that I have spent the larger portion of this summer glowing like a pig. Okay, so but being as I am, half English and half Welsh, I have the skin of a redhead. My dad was apparently Auburn, but what little he had left when I came along was white. So I don't think it was a stress for having me, but who knows? And so yeah, skin of a redhead, hair of a boring person. It used to be like kind of mousy brown, which is why I dyed it red all the time. Now at least it is an interesting mix of grey, white, blonde, and that growing out reddy bit. I kind of like it more. But anyway, getting back to the crux of this section, my skin burns super easy. So I'm used to wearing Factor 50 sunblock, or resigning myself to looking like a bad special effects job from a 1980s horror movie. I have 3 skin settings: normal, burned, peeling off. They just kind of rotate, Anyway, last weekend, I was off with my Witcher friends again, this time in Sherwood Forest at their Fantasy in the Greenwood Festival. And our pitch at Sherwood was, ironically, nowhere near any shady trees whatsoever. So I was cooking over 2 open fires in direct burning sunlight all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I was super careful about putting sunscreen on all the parts of me that were not under a costume or a big floppy hat that I was wearing. I learnt my lesson from the last time I went out without a hat and then managed to burn my scalp through my white hair. So hat. It was a good wide brimmed hat, and I thought that would do the job. So this time, it kind of did the job, but I found out that it didn't quite do the job. And so I burnt one part of me. I burnt just one part of me, and I can't quite believe that I managed to burn this part of me. I sunburnt my lower lip. And I have never felt more ridiculous in my entire life. My hat has like this decorative little band of slightly open weave on the brim, and it looks like the sun made it through that little decorative band and shone directly on my lower lip. Because it wasn't in my eyes, I didn't notice over like the general glare of the day. So I didn't notice until I got home at all, actually, at which point my lower lip swelled up and I looked like someone who could only afford like half of the collagen fillers for like a really bad duck pout. Need to go back the next week to get the top lip done as well. You know that look that toddlers have when they're told they can't have ice cream for breakfast? That lower lip stuck out petulant pout look. Yeah, that was me. As my dear old mum also used to say, that lip was stuck so far out, you could have parked a double-decker bus on it. My kids got bored of her saying that to them, but it was very true. So it made talking kind of interesting too, as I wasn't quite sure how to move my mouth properly, and everything just felt like really wrong. Blah. No, not good. So I bought myself some sunscreen lip balm because I didn't realise that literally the only thing I didn't put sunscreen on was my lips because it tasted awful. The back of my neck went a little bit pink but didn't hurt at all and went back to normal really, really quickly, like the next day. So my witchy tip for you, particularly if you're the gothic, avoid the burning star in the daytime sky type of witch, is this. Sunscreen lip balm is a thing. It's really cheap. Buy it, because the alternative is really, really weird and it's led to me dribbling tea whenever I drink it over this last week. Don't waste a good drink by sunburning your mouth. It's just utterly ridiculous. I mean, I also need to buy a new straw hat too, and this time I will get one that doesn't have an open weave bit on the brim because I just feel stupid. Anyway, right, that being said, let's get into the next bit. So it is time for meat and 2 potatoes. And before I go any further, I had to put up a swearing warning because I think I might be swearing in this one a little bit. So I'm going to have to confess everything to YouTube when I put this up, because they do ask if you've sworn on things, and normally I bleep or I kind of like cut out the vowels or what have you, so it doesn't count. This one, I think it might. So if you've got tender little ears, maybe turn it off. Anyway, the reason I'm going to be swearing is the subject that I want to talk about today is Christian witches. Okay, right? So this is a subject that I've skirted around a lot, and several people have asked direct questions, and I had a conversation about it this last weekend at Sherwood with a friend. So I think it's time to dive in. So, Christian witches, right? Even saying Christian witches makes me a bit angry. And the reason I've avoided this subject for so long is that I'm just hugely divided about it, just within myself. And it's something that brings out a lot of opinions and a lot of people. So first up, I want to talk about my personal feelings here, because I really want you to understand that my emotions and my logic really don't kind of connect up here at all, and that if that's the same for you, then that's perfectly okay. We don't have to paint ourselves into some kind of argumentative corner and then defend it against all comers. It's okay to recognise that there are different opinions, and that the knee-jerk reaction, sometimes that knee-jerk reaction is valid. So let's just say I am not a fan of the Christian church. I spent a very long time in it trying to pretend that I was a Christian. I mean, amusingly, at least 3 people have since told me that they didn't believe I was a Christian when they first met me, despite me saying that I was. Sometimes people know you better than you know yourself. That's all I can say on that subject. But anyway, the time I spent in the Christian church showed me that lots of Christians are shallow, selfish, money and power oriented people who don't give a damn about the others around them. They judge others, they're cruel, they disrespect and ignore their own holy writings, and will use them to justify bigotry at every turn. Many haven't even read their own sacred text, but will quote little tiny bits of it out of context if it means they can be cruel and selfish with some kind of stupid justification. I am not a fan. That being said, I have friends who are Christian and who absolutely live their lives trying to be as nice and as generous and as selfless as the Nazarene who got nailed to a cross for saying, "Let's all be nice to one another." Please forgive me misquoting the late great Douglas Adams there, sorry. But this is not aimed at those people. But if you are out there screaming about immigrants and people of different faiths and colours, hoarding money, shit-talking about other people and any one of the many other things that good Christians aren't supposed to do, then yeah, those are the people that grind my gears. Those people who pretend to be all wonderful and love and light, but will cross the road rather than give a quid to a homeless person and then complain that all their taxes are going to support benefit scroungers. Those people, I can't fucking stand those people. The hypocrisy of it makes me gag. At least have the decency to be honest about your bigotry and admit that Yeshua ben Miriam, the man, would have overturned your table in the temple. Yeah? The day I decided to stop trying to be a Christian and just admit that I was a pagan and a witch stands as a very, very, very bright day in my life. It felt like a huge load lifted off my shoulders. I could be honest about what I believed and stop trying to force everything into a crucifix-shaped belief box. It still makes me smile, remembering how really, really good it felt just to be true to myself. And for me, paganism and witchcraft went hand in hand, very much. And it does for a very large percentage of other witches that I know. Now, I do know a few atheist witches too, and you know what? That's fine. That's really fine. Because the really important thing to remember in this whole discussion is that paganism, in whatever flavour you like, is a religion, but witchcraft is a practice. They are not the same thing. You don't have to accept both at the same time and on an equal footing. It is possible to be a pagan without being a witch. I know lots of pagans who are absolutely not magical practitioners of any kind. But if we accept that, then we have to accept that it's probably possible to be a witch without being a pagan, like my atheist friends, for example. Now, confusingly, for a lot of people, those things can overlap. Many people petition deities during their witchcraft work. Many people see witchcraft as an outward expression of their religious belief. And, honestly, who am I to tell somebody else what their heart requires of them? It's all very fuzzy. And the joy of paganism is that we have 1,000 different ways of worshipping and another 1,000 ways and things that we individually hold sacred. Mr. Grumpy Old Crone and I had a weekend away recently, and we went to a stately home and we ate a cream tea with jam, very important, in the tea room's courtyard. Needless to say, we were within about 2 minutes surrounded by dozens of wasps. It's a very waspy kind of a summer here. We didn't run away screaming. We didn't swat at them. We just ate our scones and jam, and we gave them a little bit of jam as well. And when the chap came out to clear the tables, he was obviously horrified by the fact that these 2 weird customers were just enjoying their afternoon tea surrounded by a metric fuck ton of wasps. He tried to get us to move indoors, but, we were pretty happy though. The wasps were happy too. They got their jam. And, that tolerance is sacred to me. Needless to say, neither of us are allergic, or we might have gone indoors or changed how we acted. But my point is, that tolerance for little creepy buzzy things in the ecosystem is just important as loving my cats to me. I don't want to control everything. I just want to exist in it. That's sacred to me, but not to other people who might spray wasp killer, run indoors, or just squat them flat. Pagans do not have one single dogma that they all adhere to, so we need to be more understanding of others sometimes, Right, hold there. Mead time. Num num num. So, that was good. Some kinds of paganism do pull magical practices into their religious lives, and you know what, that's fine too. But we need to understand that not everyone feels that way. It's okay to live the way that works for us. Now, One day, I am going to do an absolutely massive, beautifully referenced video on witch persecution and witch trials. Today is not that day, so we're going to have to be a bit brief with it, or you'll be stuck in a hell of me waffling on and another thing and so forth. So yeah, we'll not go there. But the quick Cliff Notes version here is this, and I'm sure you already know it. As witches, we don't really have the moral right to be angry about all the witches that were murdered during the persecutions in the various countries around the world. Hello, Editing Annie here. When I say we don't have the moral right to be outraged, I mean that we shouldn't be outraged just because they were witches. Everybody should be outraged at murder, torture and death, but not just because they were people like us. Murder, torture and death should outrage us, no matter who the victims are. I just wanted to get that straight before people think that I'm somehow accepting this. I'm not. Why? Why don't we have that moral right? Because most of them weren't actually witches. I'm not the first person to say this, and I definitely won't be the last, but the people who were murdered during the persecutions were very largely not bloody witches at all. They were just people. Some of them were men, some of them were children, but mostly they were just people who were picked on, tortured and murdered for the sin of being different, or just named by some other poor sod who was told that if they named another witch, their own pain would stop. And you know, who can blame them? I get self-pitying enough when I have a bit of a headache. If somebody was putting me on the In rack, I would almost certainly name anybody I could think of to make it stop, regardless of the repercussions it would have. Excruciating pain has a way of doing that. So getting all wound up about the thousands and thousands of witches who were put to death is, well, you know, I think it's a bit performative. Let's stop thinking in terms of innocent herbal healers and practitioners of ancient nature cults. That stuff is perpetuated by stupid Facebook memes. If you want to know more history, actual well-researched and academically cited history, then pick up a copy of Ron Hutton's The Witch and we'll talk after you've read it, okay? Yeah. But if you take your mind off of that concept of all of those midwives and widows being murdered, then you can turn your head just a little bit and you can see something that is 100% true. And that is that the people who murdered them all were Christians. They used books to justify every horror and torture and murder of men, women and children, and every single one of them thought that they were doing the work of God. There's no arguing with that. Read the transcripts of the confessions. That, in my opinion, is the thing that we should be angry about. And people today are no different. They're still out there murdering and persecuting and being just horrible to other people because the others don't believe what their persecutors believe. And that difference is enough to justify death and torture to some twisted individuals. And if you can't tell, I'm fucking furious about it. I'm furious about what happened in the past, and I'm even more furious that it's still happening today. We demonise others because they believe in a different iteration of God to ourselves and consider that is enough to put them in concentration camps and take their children away and starve them and worse. So when somebody says Christian witch, to me the anger is red hot. Christians don't get to take this beautiful transcendent thing away from me and paint it with the same coloured shit that they've painted everything else. No! Fuck off! Fuck off! But it's not that simple, is it? And this is the part where my logic kicks in, where the thinking carefully around the subject part comes in. Because if you've watched me for a while, you know that I'm a great believer in common sense when it comes to witchcraft. Now, if you aren't a witch and are in fact a Christian, only here to find something else to feel a victim about, then you'll be laughing at the concept of witchcraft having any kind of common sense. In which case, fuck off. You know nothing. Okay, you know absolutely nothing. Really, I'll wait. Sod off. Turn me off. Go and watch some Christian shit. I don't care. Go. That's better. Right, have they all gone? Hope so. Right, as I was saying, common sense kicks in. Because most of the people who were witches from the 15th century until the late 19th century and beyond were inarguably Christian. We have grimoires, we have first-hand accounts, we have primary sources and artefacts. 100% Christian. They were Christian because for many centuries there was just no other way of being. You could be a bad Christian, somebody who didn't go to church regularly enough or slept around outside of your marriage or didn't tithe all of your money to the preacher of your church, but you were still a Christian. You lived your life within Christian boundaries. You were baptised, married and buried all within the confines of the church. You knew the stories. You believed them because, you know, they were presented to you as absolute fact, and you probably didn't have the education to doubt those stories at any point. Your life was marked by the turning of the Christian calendar, and every major festival and point of joy in your life was linked to the church. Community singing? Church. Christmas celebrations? Church. Harvest festival? Church. Falling in love and getting married? Church. All of it. So if we accept that there were witches from the Dark Ages onwards, then we have to accept that they were Christian. Margaret Murray's book, The Witch Cult in Western Europe, argues otherwise, but her work has been very, very thoroughly debunked by all the leading academics in the area for the past 50 plus years. So, you know, don't lean on that too heavily if you want to argue with me. I'm just saying, right? So if we accept, inevitably, that Christian witchcraft is a thing that historically existed, we also have to examine very closely our reasons for saying that it shouldn't do so now. Why? Because we know better? Do we though? Do we know better? Or, are we just allowing ourselves to feel the righteous anger about how innocent people were persecuted in the name of something that we love, and then deciding that the persecutors don't deserve to have that? I mean, I certainly understand that point of view, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I have quite a lot of sympathy for it as well, but it isn't logic, and, I do kind of love my logic. So, as I said, I'm conflicted. We have records of witches using charms and spells based on Bible verses and psalms, and the most cursory of walks through Boscastle's Museum of Witchcraft and Magic will demonstrate how Christianity and witchcraft are they're just intertwined. You'll be hard pushed to find a pre-19th century primary source on magic that is not overtly Christian. Well, unless we talk like pre-Christian, because Egyptian sorcery was most definitely a thing and completely predated Jesus. So that's a thing. But anyway, nowadays we accept that people work with the deities that they choose. Some work with Lilith or Pan or Baphomet, Lucifer, Triple Goddess. We don't judge them. We can't make assumptions about other people's relationships with the deities that they honour. And I think that is absolutely the right way to do it. I don't have a lot of time for people working with pop culture egregores personally, but that's because, I'm old and very, very judgy. I will also die on the hill of them being allowed to do that, even if I think it's a bit dumb, but still. So why can't we allow people to build a relationship with a minor desert deity from the Middle East who just happened to have a really good publicist? I think of Yahweh in the same way that I think of J.K. Rowling these days. Both deeply flawed, and I'm not interested in the writings or teachings of bigots, so they aren't for me. But if you really, really want to engage with that level of toxicity, well, believe you, but don't expect me to come to your Harry Potter fancy dress party or to rock up for Easter Eucharist. I think that stuff is deeply damaging, and it hurts people who deserve to be happy and left in peace. But, I'll give you the space to make up your own mind about that. So, at the end of all of that, do I think that Christian witches are a thing? Well, yes, inarguably, but I'd rather gargle with gasoline than do it myself, personally. Anyway, I can feel myself getting angrier and angrier now. Christianity tends to do that to me, so maybe it's an appropriate time for that bit. Here comes the It's gone. I'm quite sad. Anyway, so we're heading past Lammas and towards harvest proper nowadays. I don't know what the weather is doing in other places, but here in the UK it has been really dry and really hot for quite a long time. When we've had rain, it's come briefly and very heavily, which means that some things in the garden are growing madly, although others are not quite so much. I wanted to do a really quick update about what's happening in the garden because, well, I think it definitely qualifies as something that makes me feel positive. Literally, as soon as I put on the camera, the chickens start going crazy. Oh no, now they've shut up. There we go. It's like squeaky doors. There are my chickens. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do quickly is give you a super quick tour of what's gone well and what hasn't in the garden this year. I'm not going to spend too long because, there's a limit to how much time we've got, but still, on we go. Right, so this is going to be super quick. So, there we go. Chickens decided to come out for a bit of a run around. I'm talking about how things have gone in the garden this year. Things in pots have not gone well. This is my poor tree. It's so crispy and sad. It's not going well because it's in a pot. So it dries out super quickly. Hello, chickens. Yes. Now this, all my life. This is insane. Okay, if you've ever wanted to know how much you can grow in a very small area. So here, rhubarb. So much rhubarb. Can't possibly eat this much rhubarb. white flowers. Oh, hello, butterfly. White flowers are volunteer potatoes. I won't know how many there are until I dig them up, but I'm not going to dig them up until after the tomatoes or the yellow flowers have finished growing. Okay, so I've got a whole load of tomatoes coming on there. You can't see them because they're all kind of like hiding, but there are lots of tomatoes in there. And this tremendous thing is one pumpkin vine. It is vast. It is vast. And I thought if I got just one pumpkin, I would be happy. And I kind of had a little bit of a hunt around in here. And can you see? I've got a pumpkin. I'm quite happy about that. And over here, there's literally no reason for that. They just had a bit of an attack. So over here we've got courgettes at the back, and we've got another pumpkin which is kind of coming over here, and this pumpkin is kind of going over there, and they're kind of having a mad pumpkin party in the middle. This is the mugwort that I cut back earlier. There's a whole herb patch under here. You just can't tell. It's just bonkers. And we've got like a bajillion and one. Oh my God, look at these. Look at these. So I've got, I was going to say bajillion one raspberries because raspberries. I'm going to eat this. You can't see me because I'm eating it. It's very good. But up here, can you see? I've got all these grapes. They're going, oh, it's focusing on my finger, not the grapes. I've got grapes all over this thing. And this is an elderberry tree, which I need to get sorted out and get some stuff growing there as well. And all of my herbs are doing pretty well. Even the volunteer potatoes, I'm going to dig that up, see if there's actually any in there. And the chickens are out and going crazy. So it is, out here, it's madness. Everything is growing so well, except for the things in pots. The things in pots have not done well. As you can see, this is kind of like the side of stuff. Oh my God. Right, I would like to point out that these chickens' favourite place in the entire world is that pot. I guarantee in about 3 seconds, they're going to have dug all of that dirt out, all over the patio, and then they will just sit in it for the rest of the day. I've no idea why, because they're stupid little chickens, but we do love them. So we've got this is Dion and this is Doreen, but honestly, daft little sausages, they really are. So yeah, and my bay tree has gone crazy as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to rescue that apple tree or not. I'm kind of sad, but we will see. That's the one that never fruited anyway. So if it is gone, then if it's pining for the fjords, then I will plant something else, something that will fertilise with the Jonah Gold one behind me. There's Dion making her little nest and sitting it, and then she's going to pull out all of her feathers because she's stupid and thinks that she's going to have babies. Thank you for that, Dion. Yes, making a terrible mess. We love you too. Okay, right. So that's it from a mad garden. Next year, I found somebody who's got a whole load of well-rotted horse poo, so I'm going to take that off them. And next year, who knows what will happen? I think I'll try and be a bit more in control of it because this is bonkers. Right, bye. So, as summer is having its last hurrah, it's time to start thinking about preserving and making the most of the harvest. I've got raspberries, as you'll have noticed, which won't last long enough to get preserved, if I'm honest. I'm probably just going to eat them straight off the vine. But we've got elderberries, which have come very quickly this year and need to be harvested quick or risk getting eaten by all the birds. I think I might make wine or maybe some elderberry syrup. Both are good. I also have a load of grapes. So I might investigate how easy actual grape wine is. I've never made that before. Made a whole load of country wine, but never wine with proper grapes. We shall see. I also need to make a new batch of yoghurt for Mr. Grumpy Old Crone's healthy breakfasts. He does prefer bacon, but he gets yoghurt quite a bit of time. And the grapes go quite well on the yoghurt. Can't wait to see how big my pumpkin gets. I think there's another one hidden in there as well somewhere. But I won't know until all the vines die down a little bit. I wanted to grow at least one pumpkin, so I had one to carve for Samhain and to use the flesh for a lovely pumpkin and chicken stew I discovered in a cookbook. Yum, yum. So I'm about to bottle up my mugwort, which has been drying for a while now, and then work on getting some of the other herbs out there cut back and dried off for winter use. I also need to put a load of mead on because I'm running out of this. I do love mead. So as I pop off to edit and upload this, I offer you this week's blessing. May you harvest a bounty of the things that matter most to your heart, whether it's food, friendship, or joy. May your heart's harvest be plentiful and carry you through the winter to come. Blessed be, cronies.